Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And in this video I will have a fully completed 3D endless runner tutorial for you. So what you will have, if when you hit the play button, you will have this welcome sign at the beginning. When you hit play, your character will start moving. You can move right and left, you can take coins. You will have some sounds, you will move faster for each coin you take. You have your score. And you can jump as well if you have some obstacles that you wanna avoid. And this is a basic, simple, endless runner, and when you die, it will be game over and you can try again. So all this will be in this tutorial. I know the tutorial is a little long, but I am trying my best to explain all the way through what we are doing. So if you follow it all the way, you will have this simple endless runner in the end. Thank you, and so let's start up, and we will start with creating some folders so we can keep some nice structure. And first let's make a folder for our materials. We will have a folder for some prefabs. We will have a folder for the scripts that we are creating. And we will have a folder for sounds and some textures. And again, this is what I will be using. If you have your own sprites and textures, prefabs, whatever, then you of course free to use these. Now and first of all, I'll just say this is a brand new scene, so I have nothing in it at all. It should look like this when you open up the project. Now let's create the player. Oh, sorry, the plane, some ground that we can walk on. Let's just start by scaling it up like this. And let's create the first material here. We will change it later, but let's make a material called ground. And you can just drag it to the ground and then just make it a little bit darker, just so it's easier to see. Like that. We can just rename it ground so we are sure what it is. Ground. Now let's create the player, and we will just use a capsule here, and let's center it and move it up by 1, so it's on top of the plane. And remember, the ground is centered as well. On the player, we will need a capsule collider. It should be there when you create it, else you can always find it here as a capsule collider. We will need a rigid body. Remember to choose the rigid body and not the rigid body 2D. On the rigid body, we will have to freeze the rotation. The reason why we do this is because when you run into something, and if you haven't frozen the rotation, then your character will tilt around. Then we'll need to have, let me check, that was that. Then we need to make a script. So let's go to the script folder and create a script called player controller. Open it up in Visual Studio. And when that is open, we'll need to make, let's start with making him move and to jump. So the first thing we will need is, first we need to see if this character is alive. I always add that first because it's just easier to have that, because I know sometime in the game he will have the possibility to die or reset the game. So it's always good just to implement it right away. So let's make that a bool, and I will call it is alive, and from the get-go it will be true. Then we need a public float for the run speed, and then we need a public float for the horizontal speed. So the run speed is when he's going forward, and the horizontal is when you are moving the character right and left. Then we need a reference to the rigid body, and we will just call it RB. And then we will have a float for our horizontal input. Let's do that first. So we need to make an awake function, and in the awake function we will have to say our rigid body, and now we need to find the component, and we need to find the rigid body. So now we have a reference to that. Then we need a fixed update. Let's see here, fixed update, and here we have to check if he is alive. And if you write it like this is actually meaning true. If you do like this, it means false. And this is the same like if you do like this. So it's just to keep it more simple. If he is alive, then we will have a new vector 3 for the forward movement, and that one will be transform.forward times the run speed, and we will multiply it with time.fixed delta time, and this is so it always keeps the same frame no matter what machine you're playing on. Then we need a vector 3 as well for the horizontal movement, and that is transform.right times the horizontal input times horizontal speed, and we will multiply that with time.fixed delta time as well. And then we need to move, and we will do that with our rigid body. So we will say rigid body dot move position. Where will we move to? RB dot position, and we will plus with forward movement plus horizontal movement, like this. Now our horizontal input, we need to get that. We will get that from the update, so we can say horizontal input is equal to input dot get axis, and here we will get the horizontal input like this. So if we save this and head back to Unity and we hit play, let's rename it as player first so we know who it is. And we of course we should drag the script on first. And then we have a run speed and a horizontal speed. The rigid body, you can't drag it up here, but it should find it. That is what we did in the start function. No, awake, sorry. So if we hit play now, the character should run somewhere. Yeah, as you see there. So if we go to the scene, you can see the character is just running and falling down. So if we take the ground here and let's just make it a bit long. Oh, much longer, like this. Let's take the game view over here. So now you can see here when we hit play, the character is moving. Like this. So now we have the movement. Now let's make him jump. And for the jump, we will need to implement some more things. And we will have, let's serialize these. Private float, jump force. And let's start with 350. And let's serialize this one as well. And say private layer mask. And here we'll have the ground mask. I will explain you in a second what we will do with these. But why we serialize it is because you can make it public, but then you can change it from other scripts. But it's a fixed value. We should not change it from another script, these two. So by serializing them, then we can see them in the inspector, even if they are private. The ground mask, we will use that so we can see what we will use as ground. So when do we want to jump? We'll use that in a second. So we will have to go down to the update function. Let's just remove the start from now. Yeah, don't need it. Let's first create a new function called jump. So public void jump. And here we can say our rigid body dot add force. And here we'll have to vector 3 dot up, and we'll multiply it with the jump force, like this. So that's what we have in the jump function. When should we call it? We should call it in the update function, but we need to calculate something first, because if you just do this, you can just keep jumping, and we need to figure out when should we jump. So first we will calculate how high is the player. And an easy way to do that is to use the collider you have on the player, because the collider should be the same size of your player. So we could say float player height is equal to get component, and here we will get the collider that we have on the player. And we need to find the bounds dot size dot y. So this is the collider. Let me move this, and I can show you here on the player. You have a collider. Let me zoom in here. And then we have the height here. So now when we have the height, we need to use it. So let's make a ball is grounded, and this is equal to physics dot raycast transform dot position. This is the character, and we need to calculate vector 3 dot down, and we will find the player height divided by 2, because we only need half of it, plus 0.1, and then we will use this layer mask, the ground mask. So what I'm saying here is we take the player height, let me move this over here, and that was 2. We need to divide it by 2, because it's half of it. So it will yeah, so it's a way to find the bottom here, and then that's why we are saying plus 0.1, because then we'll go slightly below, so we are touching the ground. So now we can take this plane. It's more if you have multiple levels, then you can say some of them you can't jump on. So now this one, we can make a new layer. And let's call this ground. You can pick any, I just took 10 here. Take the ground again, on the layer, say ground. On your player, you can, I forgot to save the script. Save it. And hit back again. So on the player, we should have something. Not yet. Why did we not have that? Have the ground map. Oh, it did not save. Now it should have it here. So now we can choose what layer should be the ground. Come on. Take the player. And here you can see the ground mask. Let's make it ground. So now, when we start, we should be able to... Nope, we forgot something. Let me see here. That we need to say when do we want to jump. So if our input dot get key down, get key down, and here we need the key code dot space. I'm using space for jumping, and if he is alive and is ground, is, why can't I take the is grounded? It's because I'm in the wrong, sorry for that. Let's copy this and move it down here in the update. And is grounded. And this is, if you don't type anything else, this will be true, be the same as this one. But we can just make like this. Then we'll jump. So now let's save it and go back. Now we should be able to run, move right and left, and jump. Let's check all the player stats. So it should be fine. So let's do like this. This. Hit play. And now we're moving. And we can jump. And we can move right and left. So now that is working. If you think your character is flying too much in the air, then you can always go to edit, project settings, drag it over here, go to physics, and then here you can make this like minus 25 or something like this. This will make your character not stay in the air so long. So if you just keep it like this and hit play, again you can see I will fall down faster. So you can play around with that number as well. So, so you can see I'm not jumping so high now. But again, now you can bump up the jump force instead. Yeah, that was the movement. So now let's make some of the map, so we have something to run on. Nope, don't do that. So let's make the camera follow the player. And press on your camera and let's set the position to -23, -8, -80. Take the player, move it back a little, do it like this. Let me see here. Let's move it over here, closer, more up like this. And the rotation in X, I would say 30. So let's just keep it like this. Yeah. And on the, let's make a script for this to follow. And let's make a camera follow. Put it on the main camera. Oh, it's compiling. Come on. Yeah, so on the main camera, you need the camera follow script. Open that up. And in that, you will need a reference to the player. So let's make a transform. So that's transform. Public transform, of course. And call it the player. Then we need a vector 3 for the offset. Then we need in the awake function. Let's create that. We will need a player is equal to find object of type, and here we will find the player controller script like this. Oh, dot transform. So this is the player. And then we'll say offset is equal to transform dot position minus the player dot position. This. And then in our update, we will say vector 3. And here we need the target position is equal to player dot position plus the offset. Our target position dot x is equal to 0. And our transform dot position is equal to the target position again, like this. So this will make the camera follow, and it will stay in the X position while moving, always in 0. So what happens now is you can see you can always drag your player here, but it should find it. So now when you hit play, the camera should follow the player. Like this. So now we can jump. And you can see if you're moving to the right or to the left, the camera will always stay in the same position. So if the camera follows in the right and left direction, it will look, I feel that it looks weird in these games. That was the camera. So now let's work on the map. So the ground, let's delete that. Let's create a new plane. Place it in 0, 0, 0. Set it to -5, I would say. Yeah. And remember the layer is ground, and call this the ground. Let's create a new script and call this the ground spawner. ground spawner, and create a new function to the left. Let us compile here again. So to keep it a bit organized, let's make a controllers here, and underneath, let's reset first, and underneath this one, let's create the spawn controller, and he will add the script. Let's open that up. Let me move it over here. And on this one, we'll need a reference to these tiles that we will you will spawn. So let's make a ground tile prefab. We will need a vector 3. That will be our next spawn point. Then we need a function for spawning it, so make a public void for the spawn tile. And we will spawn it as a temporary file. So spawn temporary. Let's call it temp ground, so we know what it is. It's equal to instantiate, and he will instantiate the ground tile prefab. We will instantiate it at the next spawn point, and then add the quaternion.identity. That is the rotation. Then the next spawn point is equal to temporary ground dot transform dot get child, and he will get child 1. I will show you that in a minute what that is. Transform dot position. So this is just to tell it where it should spawn. And again, I will show you that here in a minute. Let's remove the update. And in the start function, we will make a for loop. And in the for loop, we will say for int I 0 I, and this will be 10. Then we will spawn the tile. So this is how many it will spawn when the game starts. And I will set to 10. This is the number that you need to change if you want 1 tile in the beginning or 20 tiles in the beginning. This is the number that you need to change. So if you save this and hit back, then we will have this ground tile prefab. Let's take the ground here. Let's open the prefab folder. Put it down here so we have a prefab. Let's just delete it from the scene. On the spawn controller, we will need this ground. So when you start the game now, there should be some tiles in the scene. Oh yeah, we are of course not there. Ah yeah, it couldn't find the child, of course. So if you double click on the ground, we'll need to add a script to that ground tile. But before we do that, we'll need to add some points to it. And the point will be, let me see here, on the ground. Let's create an empty object, and this one will be the spawn point. And here is where we are getting the child. So let's center it like this, and it will be 5. So if you remember the script before, we had this, it had to find the child, and we took number 1. This is child 1 of the ground. So remember that it is number 1. If you have something above it, you need to move this up, else it will try to spawn on that point. Then we will need some, let me see, we have the ground. Just a second. I can see I made a little mistake, so for that, let's get back again. If you drag in the ground, we can open it up, the prefab, we unpack it again, then create an empty one, place it at 0 to 0, take the ground and move it underneath this game object, like that. And the spawn point, you need to move up here as well. So this will be there, the game object, like this. We will have the ground and we will have the spawn point. Yeah. And this one up here, we can just call ground holder. Just delete the prefab from the folder, delete and unpack, and then drag the new ground holder to the prefabs. Now open up this. On this ground holder here, we'll need to add a box collider. Let's make it 10, 10, 10, and move it -5, so it will look like this. We need to set it as a trigger. We will get to that in a second, because how this will work is when the player moves outside this box, this one will be deleted and it will spawn a new one in front of it, in front of these 10 that you have in the beginning. After that, we'll need to make a script, and this will be a script for the tile. So let's call it the ground tile, this, and this will be added to the ground holder. That's here, and ground tile, like this. What should we do first? Then we will have some points. Let's add them first. Now we are out here. When we have some spawn points, we will have some obstacles on the floor. So we need to tell where should they spawn and how I have done it. I made 3 spawn points. Spawn point 1, and this one I have moved out here. Let's take -3, take one more, place it at 0, take one more and set it at 3. So let's rename them as spawn point 2 and spawn point 3, like that. Then we will have a die spot. Let's create an empty one and call this. I have called it the die zone. This is when you are falling off the platform. So let's do a box collider on that as well, and just drag it out here. If you hold down the Alt key, it will go both ways. Let's turn it around. Do it like this. Oh, we don't need it over there. Bummer. Let's just do this and this. So now when you fall to one of the sides, oh yeah, of course you need to move it down. So we'll take this and move it underneath the plane, like that, so you're not moving. So this will be the die zone. We'll get to that later. So now let's open up the ground tile script. We have it here. And in that, we will need a reference to the ground spawner script that we made before. So let's make a private ground spawner and call it the ground spawner with a lowercase. We'll need a public game object, and this will be for the obstacles that we'll make in a second. So let's call it obstacle prefabs, and then we will need a public transform, and this is an array for where it should spawn, so spawn points. And in the we need onTrigger exit here. In the onTrigger exit, it's here we need to spawn the tiles. So here we have the ground spawner dot spawn tile, like this, and then we will need to destroy the one we are going off. So we will destroy that game object, and we'll do that after 5 seconds. So if your tile are getting destroyed too fast or too slow, you just have to lower or increase this number. Yeah, let's test that out and see how it works now. Is it possible? Let me see. It should work now. Yeah, let's see what it says. So if you go back now, like this, we can delete the ground holder here. We have the spawn controller. We need the ground prefab, like this. And let's move the player to the 0 position. So let's see how it looks when we hit play. Okay, what went wrong? We got the 10 holders here. Aha. 1 second. Sorry for that. That was a silly mistake. I forgot to call the ground spawner, so we never found it. So let's go to the awake function in the ground tile, and here we will have to say ground spawner is equal to game object dot find object of type, and here we need to find the ground spawner. That's why we never found it. Let's save and let's try again. Let's stop this. And let's try again and see what happens. Again, it did not spawn the correct place. So for that, I found the mistake. If we open up the ground holder here, the ground holder should be 0, 0, 0. You have the ground underneath, should be 0, 0, 5. And then you have the spawn point, should be 0, 0, 10. So be sure that these points are in the same place. Remember, after you have done that, on the ground here, you need to take the box collider and move it so it fits over here. You can see my my numbers here. And you have to do the same with this die zone. So let's move it over like this. So now when we hit the play button, we can see the path is generated and it's endless. My player can move right and left. We can jump, and you can see here it's disappearing behind me and it's making a new one in front of me. So now it's working. Now let's create a material here, and let's take the ground. Oh yeah, we already had that. So take the prefab, take this, open it up, take the ground, take the material. Let's put this on. Let's make another one for the player. Let's find where materials there, and call it player. It's just so it's easier to see. Let's make him red. Get back, take the player. add the material to the player, just so when we hit play now, it is much easier to see what is ground and what is player. Yeah, like this. So you can move right and left, and we can still jump. Now, let's make some obstacles for the scene. So let's start just creating a cube. So 3D cube, and this will be let's just call it OBS 1. So that is the obstacle 1. And what do we need on that? We'll need to ensure that the spawn point is in the bottom of the cube. So if you see here, the spawn point here is now in the center of this one. So let's create an empty object, drag it underneath this one. So you can see now both points are in the center. Take this point and lower it by negative, oh, not that one, sorry, this one. 0.5, yeah, like this, 0.5. So now it is in the bottom of the, this is where it has to spawn. Now you can drag this out again and take this and put it underneath this one. So now the spawn point are, or the pivot point, in the bottom of the cube. Now let's call it, let's call this OBS 1, and this one we can just call graphic. Like that. On the cube, we need a box collider. We already have that. And that's actually it for now. Yeah. Let's drag this. No, let's copy it first, or duplicate it. So we have two. Take this one, drag it to the prefab folder. Take the next one, call it OBS 2. Go to the graphic part. Take the rect tool here and make it higher. Now drag this to the prefab folder as well. And now you can delete both of them from the scene. So on the ground holder we have here in the prefab, you can see we need some obstacle prefabs. So here, if you lock it up here to the right, you can take these two obstacles, add them here. Yes, and then we need the spawn points. So now let's open it up. We had 3 spawn points, and the spawn points is the where I want them to spawn on the on this tile. You can add them wherever you want. I just need these 3 for now. So take these 3, you can highlight all of them and drag them to the spawn points. Why can't I drag them to the spawn points? Can I move it? Nope. Just a second. Okay, I don't know why I couldn't, but if you unlock it and lock it again, then you can take the spawn points and move it over here. And we have these 3 points. Like this. Now let's go back again. Let's try hit play and see what happens. We don't have anything here. And why don't we don't have that? Let me be back in a second. Silly mistake. I was too far ahead. Sorry for that. We of course never spawning the objects. So we need to go back to the ground tile script. And here we made the obstacle prefabs. And how we will spawn it is to do it randomly. So let's make a public void for the spawn obstacle. And here we'll say, we'll make an integer for choose spawn point. And it will be random.range between 0 and spawn point dot length. So every time it spawns a new tile, it will choose one of the three spawn points. So it will, yeah, it can be random all the time. Then we make an integer for the spawn prefab, and here we'll say random.range as well, and it's between 0 and the obstacle prefabs dot length. So in my case I only have 2, but it's very easy. You can just add another obstacle prefab and then it will be random between 0 and that how many prefabs you have. Now when we have these two numbers, we will have to instantiate that prefab, and we will do that by saying obstacle prefab, and we need to take the spawn prefab. So it will take the obstacle prefab that it will instantiate is the one from this integer here. Where will we spawn it? At the spawn point, and the spawn point will be choose spawn point dot transform dot position, and then again the quaternion dot identity, that will be the rotation, and then the transform like this. And in the start we will call the spawn obstacle. So let's save this, and now we should have some obstacles in the scene. Let's see, come on. Hit play. And there you go. Got different. It will be random all the time, and you can see it removes behind me. So this is how you make obstacles, and I can run into them. We will fix that later. But yeah, this is just random points. Fast, we can fix, if you see here now when we hit play, you can see we are starting on the this tile and all the prefabs are already here. So if we set up the speed, sometimes you are not fast enough to get around these. But a way to fix that, we can simply just take this ground prefab in here, remove the script from it. Yeah, we can unpack it. I guess that's better. And then take this, duplicate it, and move it -10. Move the player a bit, and now hit play. Now it will spawn 2 tiles in front of you instead. 1 tile, sorry, like this. So okay, we can actually delete this one and take this one and move it -5. Take the player, where did he go, and move him back here. So now when we hit play, we have some tiles in front of it. So you can give it some more if you want some more time before the obstacles will start spawn. One more thing that we will have to do, yeah, now let's do so we can't hit the obstacles and then you will die. Now we will use the alive function that we made. So let's open up the script again. Where did it go? Here. So in the player controller, we will need to have an on-collision enter. Let's do it down here in the bottom, on-collision enter. And here we'll say, which one should we do? Let's just make it, yeah, if collision dot game object dot name is equal to I will just do it with name, cube. You can do it with tag as well. And then we will actually say that. We didn't make that function yet. We'll make that below here. Public void that. And he will say is alive. Oops. Is alive is equal to false. Like this. And then we will say game yeah, we will get to that later. Now we will just use using scene Unity engine dot no, let's actually do the other thing. Yeah, sorry for that. I was just looking for the best way of doing it, but let's make the that function like let's create a canvas here. So let's take UI, let's take image. We have the free aspect here. Let's change it to something. Let's take this one. Yeah. On the canvas, remember to set it as scale with screen size, and let's make it 920 by 1080. And now this image will be let's make an empty object and call it game over panel. Add the image to that one, and let's center it. Double click on the image and you will open it up here. Let's choose the 2D. Let's move it up in the middle here, make it a bit, if you hold down the Alt key, you can do like this, make it bigger, and call this game over panel, and this will be the background. We'll need a build TextMesh Pro, import the TM. If you don't have it, this will pop up the first time for the TextMesh Pro. Come on. When that is done, let's close this one. We can have the text, and this will be the headline. Headline, like this. And he will say game over. Like this, and make the text black. And move it. Oh, what happened? Where did it go? Why is it minus? Let's make it 20. Where are the... That's weird. Why is it doing that? Not sure what happened, but I just made it again, the text, and then it was there. So let's call it game over. Move it to the top here. Then we will need a button. And this button, we will say, let's make it a little bigger here. Let's take the text and call it try again. Let's bump it up a bit so it's easier to see, like this. And now under the controller, let's make an empty object and call this the game manager. In the script folder, let's create a new C# script and call it game manager. And the game manager, here we will save the scores and the high score, the panels, and yeah, stuff like that. Remember on the game manager to drag this. It will have this fancy icon. I don't know why actually, but it always does. And the game manager will make that to a singleton. And what that means is that you can access this from all scripts. My instance, and in the awake, we will need to say my instance is equal to this. So what do we want here? We need the game over panel. So public game object and call this the game over panel, like this. Let's line this up, looks better. When we start the game over panel dot set active, it should be false when we start the game. And yeah, and then we need to make a reset level, public void reset level, and here we need the scene manager, and here we need to implement the using Unity engine dot scene management, and then you can say scene manager dot load scene, and here we will load the scene manager dot get active scene and dot name, like this. So this is how you reset the level. You will reset the scene that you are already in. And when will we do this? That is when we say try again. So let's save this, head back to Unity, the game over panel, take the game manager, drag this over here. Let's take the background, just make it a bit darker like this so it's easy to see. Take the button here, unclick, take the game manager, reset level. So when should this game over panel pop up? Because now it's turned off when we start the game. So here we need to go back to the player scripts. Here, let's go to player controller, and here we need to say the det, and here we can say the game manager. Oh, game manager dot my instance dot reset level. Oh, sorry, we need to, of course, not reset it here. We need to say the game over panel dot set active to true. So when we die, it will be true. And when we hit the cube, we will die. So that should be. Let's try it out. So let's hit play and see what happens. Let my player go now. Oh, move from the 2D. Oh, why did I move the camera? Oh, sorry, we need to move the camera back here. I don't know why it's moved. Let's hit play. So now we can move right and left. We can jump. Let's see what happens if we hit one of these. nothing happened, and that is because if you pause this and on that we have this obstacle, and we're hitting, oh yeah, we called it graphic. This is the name that you need to use. So in the script, let's open it up here. Let's call graphic. You can of course name it as you want. So let's hit play. And now it should work. You can move again. And if we hit it, we die, and we can try again. And we can jump. And if we hit it, try again. So now let's spawn some coins on the ground, so we can get a score up. To get the coin spawning, let's create a coin. First, let's make a 3D cylinder. Let's scale it down, like this. So now it looks like a little fine coin. Whoops. Sorry for that. Move it down to the ground. Let's turn it 90 degrees. Not that one, of course. 90 degrees. So it stands up. Let's create a new material. Great. Material and call it coin. And this will of course be some nice yellow. Let's add this to the coin. Let's call this coin. Let's create a new script first. Create script and call it coin. And put it on the coin. Let's do it on the coin. And what we need here for the coin is just some fancy things, so it will rotate around. So we will have a public float, call it turn speed, and is equal to 90. And then in the update, it's just transform dot rotate is, and this will be the turn speed times time dot delta time 0 0 on the other axis, like this. And if your coin are turning the rotating the wrong direction, you should just change this in one of the other positions here and put 0 in the first. That happens to me sometimes. So let's hit, just to test the coin, let's hit play and see if it rotates the correct way. Nope, it happened for me again. So it will be the y-axis for me. So let's do this. So let's take all this 0 and move it over here. Save. Now hit play and the coins should rotate. Oh my god. Wow, why is it rotating the... What did I forgot something? Come on, why is it doing that? Which direction is it rotating on? Did I not save it? Save? Hmm. Okay, that's weird. It's really weird because let's try it over here. Let's hit play and see if it's rotating correctly. Yeah, there we go. Now rotates the correct. Good. Now let's take this coin and make it a prefab. Like this. And then we need to go back to the ground tile script. Like here. Ground tile. So now we need to spawn the coin prefab. So let's make a public game object for the coin prefab. Let's make a function for it and say public void spawn coin like this. And for spawning it, we need to figure out, of course, where to spawn it. Yeah, let's first do this. We need to say how many coins do we want to spawn. So spawn amount. And when I say how many you want to spawn, it's on each tile. You remember here we have 2 now. So how many coins do you want to spawn on this specific tile? And I will just say 1. You can have more, and then make a for loop. And here we'll use the spawn amount. And again, we need to make a temporary temp coin is equal to instantiate, and here it will be the coin prefab. We will have to instantiate the temp coin dot transform dot position. So now where do we want this to be spawned? Now I found a pretty good way to do this, and if we can do it with a vector free, we can call it spawn random point. We need a collider, and we will just call it cool. I will show you in a minute what this means. It can look a bit confusing, but it's not. And we need to find a point is equal to new vector free. It will be a random dot range between the collision dot bounce dot minimum dot x. It will be between the collision dot bounce dot maximum dot x. All this you can copy from random range, put it on the other side, and here it will be for the y. I will show you in a minute what this means. And then you can do the same again, and this will be for the z, like this. And remember to have this in between, and then end it here. So what this is, let me go over here. Let me open the ground holder here. So what we say here, let me take it over here so we can see it like this. Here we are looking for a random range inside this collision. You see here the green box we made here. So the box collider that we have on this. And we can simply just say the minimum and the maximum for x and y and z, and then it will spawn inside this box. So it will just pick a random place inside this. It's a really smart way to do it. And another thing that we'll need to add is point.y is equal to 1. This will keep the coin 1 above the ground, so it's not sitting on the ground, it's in the air. And then we will return the point. So we shouldn't have, oh, we have an error here. Why do we have that? Let me check. Oh, we are missing parentheses here. What else did we miss? Random range, minimum set, minimum, maximum set. We have the bounds for the Y, minimum, maximum. We have for the X and for the. Oh, we don't need these. Sorry for that. We have too many. Yeah, so now it fits. So it should look like this. Yeah. So now up here we can use the spawn random point, and we need to get the component collider like this. So, and then we need to call it up here. Let's spawn the coin. It's safe. Let's get back to Unity. And now over here on the ground tile, we will have a coin prefab. Let's add the coin. Now let's hit back. And let's try run it. See what happens. Yeah, now we have some random coins on the map. And I'll just to show you here, let's change this to 5. And you hit back. Now you can see that we got plenty of coins. So let's hit play again. Yeah, now you can see we have many coins. But for this sake, I will just keep it at 1, like this. Now let's destroy the coin when we hit it. So on the player controller, here on the collision, we will have another if statement. Here we will just say coin. It's what we called it. And we need actually to say coin.clone. And again, you could do this with tags as well instead. Then you can save this, and you should of course not die, but you will destroy the collision.gameObjects. So the object you hit will get destroyed. And we will get some points in a second, and we will increase the speed for the player as well. So now if we hit play, when we hit the coin, I hope they get destroyed. Yes, they are. So now we can take the coins. Let's remove the first one we had here. Let's go to let's take our canvas now. On the canvas, let's create a UI text. Let's make it black again. Let's say score 10. Let me go to the score text. Let's call it score text. And let's move it up. Like here, let's bump it up a bit so we can see it. Now go to the game manager. We have it on the controllers, game manager, open up the game manager. And here we'll need two things. First we need to implement the TM Pro. Then we'll need a public text mass pro this, and this is the score text. And then we need a public integer for the score. And let me see, we need in the update, we'll need to say score text.text is equal to score.toString, like this. And then we can go back to the player controller. And in the player controller, when we pick up a coin, we will say game manager.myInstance.score plus equal 1. You can say this, or you can just say plus plus if you want that. It's the same, but yeah, plus equal 1, not 1 million. Plus 1. So if you go back now, let's hit play. Oh, sorry, we need to reference the text first. So let's do this, the text score here. Let's hit play. And now it should say 0. Yeah, it does. And when you take a coin, hopefully we get, yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So that works. Good. Now let's, what will we take now? What will we take now? Let's take, now we have the score. Let's increase the speed on our player. We can do that simple by go to our game manager. Will it be in there? Where's a good place to put it? I will say it's in the player instead. Let's go to player, and he will make a new float, a public float, and this we'll call speed increase. And when will we increase the speed? That will be when we take a coin. So let's say our run speed plus equal the speed increase. Let's save that. Hit back again. On your player, we have the speed increase 1 or 2. So when you hit play now, when you pick up a coin, you will increase the speed, and it will go faster and faster and faster. So it will get harder and harder. Try again. So now let's get some sound on it. I actually already recorded, or I made it, but the recording was stopped. So I just go through this fast. I have two sounds here. One is for the coin and one is for the jump, where I normally found sounds. You can find them on freesounds.org. Here you can just search for the coin or the jump, and then there will be a bunch of them, and then you can find the one that you like. Then in the controllers, you need to make a sound controller. You need to add an audio source. Remove the play on awake. And then you will have to create a new script and call it Sound Manager. Take that script, add it to the sound controller, open it up, make an audio clip for the coin, a public audio clip for the coin and the jump, a public static audio clip for the jump sound and coin sound, then a static audio source, and you can call it audio source. In the start function, you need to find the audio source. Then we have the jump sound is equal to jump. The coin sound is equal to coin. And then we need a new function to call these sounds. We will do that with a switch state or function, where we will switch between the sound clip. And here, for the coin, we will have the coin sound, and for the jump, we will have the jump sound. This is a really good way to control the different sounds in your game. Yeah, let's get back to the game again. On the sound controller, you can now take the two sounds you have for the jump and for the coin. Let's open up the player controller. And in the player controller, you can say that, let's go to the coin. When you hit a coin, you will say sound manager dot play sound, and you'll play the coin sound. We can copy this. We can go up here when we jump. Let it compile here. And here we will say jump. So let's save this and hit back. Let's hit start and see what happens. We have a fancy jump sound and we have a coin sound. And it goes faster and faster. I'm too good. Game over. Okay, one more thing I think we should do, because when you hit here, hit try again, it runs right away. And maybe you're not ready. So let's take this canvas. We have the game over panel, and let's duplicate that. And let's make the start game panel. Let's turn that on. Let's take the text here and let's just say welcome. And the button will say start game, like this. And this one will of course be here in the beginning. So let's open up the game manager. And in the game manager, we'll have a reference to that. So public game manager. And here we'll say start game panel. And the start panel will be start game panel dot set active to true. It will always be there when we start the game. Then we will make a new function called public void start game. Here we'll say start game panel dot set active. Here it will be false. And then we will have the time scale as well. So when we start the game, we will say time dot time scale is equal to 0. So this will pause everything in the game. So when we start, everything will just not be running or moving. And when we hit the start game, we will say time dot time scale is equal to 1. So let's save this. Hit back again. Now let's reference the start game panel. Remember on the button to drag in the game manager let's take the start game. So now when you start the game, nothing is moving. And you can now start the game. So now we have time to start. And when you die, you will say try again. And this will be here again, so you can start the game. So now so now you actually have a fully functional endless runner game where you can have sounds, different kind of enemies, different kind of coins if you want to add that. You have a score, and you have these panels in the start and in the end. So this was actually what I had to show you in this tutorial. I really hope that it helped you out with your game. Sorry for the long time, but yeah, if I have to explain it, it just takes more time. So, well, thanks a lot for watching, and remember, if you want to see more videos from me, please hit the like and subscribe button below. Thank you, and see you next time.